Good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to take another minute or so to get some more people logged in. So if you can be patient with us, we will start about 1 minute after 1. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Equifax Canada Business Transformation webinar. My name is Rob Durham, and I'm the Vice President of Transformation and Operations at Equifax Canada, and I'll be taking you through the first part of this webinar. Really want to thank you for your patience as we waited a minute or two after 1 o'clock to get started. There are almost 700 customers who registered for today's session, so we just wanted to give everybody the opportunity to get logged in before we got started. Before we get too far into the content of the presentation, I just want to bring on Sandra Shep for a minute or two. There are some housekeeping details that she's going to run you through just so that you can get the most out of the webinar. Sandra?
Thank you, Rob, and thank you everyone for joining today. On the left side of your screen, you'll see a Q&A widget. This is where you can key in any questions that you have, so don't be shy. We have lots of times for questions and welcome them all. In the event that there are so many questions we can't answer them during our time today, we'll generate an FAQ document which we'll send out to you at a later date. Today's presentation and some other pertinent documents you might find useful are available in the resource widget just below the Q&A widget for downloading, and those are also on the left side of your screen. Our slide presentation today will show in the middle of your screen, and the bios of our speakers can show up on your right-hand side. Also, wanted to let you know we have a short survey we'd ask you to fill out at the end of our session today. It will automatically pop up at the end of the webinar. If you'd prefer to complete it at a later time, you can access it by clicking on the survey icon at the bottom of your screen. And this is also where you can find various icons to navigate to the areas I've just mentioned. Now, let's get started, and I'll pass it back to you, Rob.
Thank you, Sandra. With me today in this presentation, and you'll hear from him a little later, are Niall Shaw. He's our Client Experience Lead and Process Engagement Architect, as well as Dale Jordan. He's our Director of Client Migration, and is one of the principal architects of what we'll be sharing with you today. In the presentation today, we will take you through a little bit of information and a little more detail on the data fabric, or our data exchange, the new credit bureau. I reviewed some of this in webinar number 1 about a month ago, so it might be a little bit of repeat for some of you, but we'll go a little deeper and try to give you a little more insight as to what we're doing. Niall will take you through the product migration, and Dale will take you through client migration timelines and process. From the last webinar, one of the questions, two of the most important questions we got were around understanding the product migration a little better, and also understanding customer migration timelines and process, hence the reason for these 2 sections being added today. So, as I mentioned, I'll take you through a little bit more detail on the data fabric. The data fabric is the database and data model that constitutes the new credit bureau. It's an incredibly powerful ecosystem, and it's what's going to be allow us to drive value for our customers. So let's just talk about some of the things that we think are really important and relevant to you. So first of all, the 5 icons on this slide sort of highlight some of the key benefits that we see for customers. One is around built-in security. I kind of touched on this the last time we were together, and I think it bears repeating. The importance of this is that on older systems, you are constantly trying to bolt security onto, older platforms that when they were conceived didn't face some of the issues that we see in the market today. In going to Data Fabric, one of the things that we get to take advantage of is the fact that we can take advantage of the call it the perimeter security or the infrastructure security that Google Cloud Platform provides. As you know, we're taking our mainframe on-premise database and moving it to the cloud with GSP or Google Cloud Platform. That comes with what I would call perimeter security. Add to that, every one of the applications that Equifax uses and makes available to our customers is being completely rebuilt inside the cloud, again, building security in from the inside out. Lastly, the next very important aspect of security is all of the data, so the actual data elements that sit within all of our applications and within the database will all be encrypted both at transit and at rest. So, this leads us to having industry-leading security and make sure that, the data that you share with us, that we exchange, and that consumers entrust to us is all completely protected all the time. The next point I'd like to make is around availability. So one of the big advantages of moving to the cloud is it enables fully redundant systems, applications, and tools. We currently have a couple of our applications that we have moved into the cloud, and while that's helpful and it makes them a lot more resilient, until the entire end-to-end process is in the cloud, you never get fully towards always on. This allows us to get to always on. So on a go-forward basis, we should not have any outages or disruptions to your ability to provide service to your customers. The other thing that is a feature of this is it's scalable. So at peak periods, some of which we're coming up to, say around Black Friday or around the end of year holiday gift giving time, all of those times tend to drive increases in volume and peaks in volume. This will be easily absorbed because Data Fabric is entirely scalable as it is on the cloud. Now, I always define those things as table stakes. You expect that. You expect there to be great security, you expect there to be high availability, and you expect scalability. The 3 icons right of that, I think, is where the real value comes in. So when we think about unified data sources, Equifax has an array of different data sources, be that credit, property, vehicle, employment, or income. All of these databases or data sources that we have and databases we have now are siloed. This means they're difficult to access, especially in real time, and difficult to create solutions from. In Data Fabric, these will all be keyed and linked back to the consumer. So let me just use myself as an example. If I were to come to any of your businesses and request credit, you would be able to go in and pull data on Rob Durham. You could start with my credit data, but you might also want to pull my vehicle data, my property data, my income and employment data, giving you a very full and very rich picture of me as the applicant from which you can make your decisions. Now, all of these are new services, and you would have to subscribe to the services to get access to all of this. But think about how rich and powerful it would be to be able to pull all of that data in real time and make decisions about customers, either as you are adjudicating them for a new service or you're thinking about how you want to manage that customer on a go-forward basis. So this idea of unifying a unified data source is incredibly important. All of the data is completely configurable going forward as well. So when we think about the purposed view or the credit report, going forward, we'll be able to tailor that by vertical. So what does that mean? It means that a mortgage lender would be able to see a different view of the credit report than an auto dealer, who would see something different from a credit issuer. Now, all the data elements would be there, but these different types of lenders are going to want to look at a credit report, for me, differently, with the elements that are most important to them up front. Because this is a configurable environment, we're able to create different views of the credit report to make it easier for you and your team members and employees to be able to understand what's in front of them and be able to deliver that, be able to deliver great service to your customers. Lastly, I just speak to data velocity. And what this really means is the ability for us to take in data and be able to produce better data for you. So specifically what I mean is for data contributors, the way that we're thinking about this is any data in any format at any time, meaning that we're trying to make it as easy as possible for contributors to provide data. And then once we have that data and we have more of it, that enables thicker, richer files, which makes it all the more useful in terms of serving your customers. Additionally, you're probably aware that we have what we call data fragments. So this can happen at the time of inquiry, where maybe the inquiry is made with a name slightly different or with slightly different information elements on me, on Rob Durham, or as we get trade supplier information in, sometimes the way that it gets submitted from one contributor is different from others. This can cause data fragments, and it means that all of my data is not consolidated in one file, which means as a customer, you're not getting everything all in one place to be able to make the best possible solution, provide the best possible solution. So we'll be reducing this data fragmentation using machine learning and AI algorithms. All of this will create thicker, richer files for you to be able to use when interacting with your customers. It allows you to know your customer better to better serve them. So I wanted to go a little bit deeper into what the data fabric will actually look like and look at the entire ecosystem end to end. This is essentially the plan on a page, or the value we deliver on a single page. I get that it's very busy and I'm not going to go through all the details in it. But what is important to take away is if you start on the left side and you look at those data sources, auto, credit, property, those right now, as I mentioned previously, are all in silos. Going forward, those will all get consolidated and held in that common data fabric in the middle. How do we get the data there? We're offering additional transmission services or channels by which this data can be submitted by our contributors. We'll be able to come over the web, through APIs, or in batch, whichever makes it easier for the contributor. This data is then all brought together within the data fabric, is all keyed and linked back to that single consumer so that you have a really good 360 view of the consumer in the example we were using of me. That data is then made available through a series of platforms, whether that's identity, the new identity platform, Illuminate, through analytics in Ignite, or through our decisioning engines like Interconnect, such as Interconnect. It also is available through direct data feeds as well that you can access. The point is there's new platforms for you to be able to access this data, and through that is converted into the products that you're familiar with, whether that is our credit and risk, our verification and authentication around employment and income, identity fraud, marketing. All of these different products are available for you for a variety of use cases that you would have with your customers. We're also expanding the delivery mechanisms that will be available to you. So previously it was fairly limited to online. Now you'll be able to do it through APIs, through batch, through mobile devices, in real time, and over the web. We think that having this rich data set available through standardized cloud-based platforms in the products that solve the use cases for you and delivers them through channels that make the most sense allows you to be able to best serve your customers. From our perspective, we look at our end users as the group that I'm talking to right now, our customers, to consumers, to government, to partners, and even for our internal use as we develop and create new solutions. So, we're really excited about what this can mean for our customers in terms of an ability to create more value for you and for you to create an even better customer journey and know your customers better so that you can serve them as they want to be served under the best possible terms. I'm going to pause there. If there are any questions, I am happy to take questions. Dory, if there are questions available, or if there are questions, should we take some of those?
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. So I guess the first question is, will the move to the new platform be applicable to business credit reports or only consumer reports?
Good question. So what we're talking about here is the consumer transformation. In parallel, we are doing the exact same thing for commercial. The timeline is a little earlier for consumer. We will have the credit bureau fully built by the end of the year, by December. We have a long testing regime to make sure that our products work the same in the new environment as the old, and then we'll be migrating customers on, as you'll hear a little later from Dale, beginning in July. That's for consumer. Commercial will be a couple of months behind that, but the idea of the data fabric, the way that we are, bringing data in, the sources that we're using, how we're storing it, curating it, purposing it, and pushing it out through products and platforms is exactly the same concept for commercial.
All right. Another question, will there be a price list for the products provided?
Yes, there will. And I think as we get into the product discussion with Niall in just a minute, one of the things that you're going to see is we're moving, products over like for like. So if you're using ERS2 today and you're going to be using ERS2 tomorrow, we are rebuilding it in the new environment to be exactly the same. What you'll be able to do then post that is be able to add additional services like new data feeds for property or employment and income or incremental scores or products and services that you'd be interested in. And yes, our sales team is more than happy to work with you on helping you decide, what makes the most sense for your business and your use case.
All right, and one more before we move on. Do you have two-way APIs that we will be able to use?
Yes. Yep, that is absolutely a feature of what we'll be doing. And again, I think Niall, who's doing a lot of work on moving the endpoints or APIs, can probably speak to that in his section, or Dale will cover it in customer migrations. But the short answer is yes, two-way APIs. Okay. Niall, do you want to pick it up from here and
absolutely
talk about the product,
Rob? Thank you, Rob. So let's talk a little bit about the background of the exercise that we're going through from a transformation perspective, that Equifax is going through from a product perspective. And as Rob alluded to a few minutes ago, for most customers, little or no action will be required for you to take advantage of these products and services through transformation because of what we like to call similar functionality, accelerated capability, or is also known as like for like. So when we talk about similar functionality, we talk about the same fields, functions, data types, calls, and resources available to you the way that you enjoy the products today. When we talk about the accelerated capability, the acceleration happens through this transformation to our data fabric. Our data fabric is, as we discussed in our first webinar and has been reinforced with Rob's discussion earlier, our data fabric is all-encompassing for both our apps, products, data, and services, consumer and commercial bureau. We talk about this very tight weave of capability that allows through what's known as a single default gateway context, that is the data coming in through a single junction made available through the APIs that have been alluded to already, allowing you to make connectivity and digital self-service between a wide variety of product and service capability through configuration management. This type of capability will allow us to provide those same apps, products, data, and services that you have previously enjoyed, but we're going to rebuild and optimize those capabilities for the upcoming transformation. We're going to rebuild them so that those optimizations will allow for this data fabric connectivity to take place. And the overall commitment of this transformation program is that despite the fact that this is quite a significant change and a significant level of capability offered to you as customers, with the promise is that this transformation is not going to create opportunities for disruption in a minimized capacity, and that there would be zero anticipated downtime as a result of this transformation. So there is going to be different categories or types that I'm going to talk to or allude to in a minute. Those are what we call the sunset, rebuild, upgrade, or replace. And we'll get into those definitions in a few minutes. But it's important for us to note that this was not simply just a lift and shift process for our products and services themselves. This was a complete rethink and retooling capability from the ground up to ensure that we were providing products, apps, services, and capabilities that will meet customers' needs now and going forward in the future. And I think before we proceed to the next session, in order for you to continue to receive FICO scores from Equifax Canada, FICO requires all subscribers to sign an updated subscriber agreement before March 18th, 2021. And that's irrespective of the current version that you happen to be using at this particular stage. So let's talk for a few minutes about what we like to call the meaty middle, and that is the most significant portion of our products today are going to be on this rebuild path. That means that products are rebuilt will have the same data, features, fields, functionality, and capability that you currently enjoy, but they're going to be optimized for data fabric. And like I alluded to earlier a few minutes ago, that's the similar functionality and accelerated capability that you would want from those products and services. On the left, you'll see a representation of the products that we are going to rebuild as on the consumer capability. And on the right-hand side, you'll see the products that will be rebuilt as a result of the commercial capability. And again, those rebuilds are to provide you with the same capability, fields, and features and functionality that you currently enjoy today. But the accelerated capability really ties into the very compelling offering that digital self-service provides with data fabric. And it's important for us to note that this is what we would say the vast majority is greater than 90% today of what we offer to our customers is on this rebuild capacity. So to look at the next section, there is a small number of products that are going to be retired. And when we talk about retired and replaced, we're talking about products that have version upgrades that are necessary for Data Fabric to be an optimal experience for you as a customer. There are some products that are at end of life. And sometimes the optimizations for those products were simply not optimal or opportunistic or efficient on Data Fabric, and therefore there are possible version upgrades for those products and recommendations to be provided for those capabilities. There are better next-gen versions of products that are far more efficient, and they're far more customer-centric in Data Fabric. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a selection of products on the consumer side that will be sunset. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a collection of retired commercial products that will be a part of that constituents. And that represents around 3% of what our current product distribution is from a capability perspective. So that's what a representation of what we would call a sunset product set. The next section that we're looking at here ultimately is products that will have potential upgrades. So these upgrades are possible through the transformation process, and we would definitely recommend them as part of your transformation journey, since this is, you could liken this to yourself as a customer as an opportunity for you to not only revisit the current products and service capability and distribution that you might have, but opportunities for you to potentially upgrade to next-gen better replacements or enhanced upgrades for an additional cost. And as Rob also mentioned too, we'll be providing you with additional subscription costs and additional product costs that would be as part of that constituents. And these are things that we would recommend to you as a customer that you significantly take advantage of during this process in order for you to get better and more robust scores, and in order for you to take advantage of the fact that there is all of this interoperable capability that Data Fabric provides by weaving together all of our different products, services, data apps, and capability. And the customer is also empowered to be able to do this through digital self-service or configuration management through our enhanced web portal. That web portal was previously very much of a singular transaction capability for you to retrieve offline batch files or process run capability. The portal really becomes the hub of the experience for you as a customer going forward. And so when we talk about this digital self-service capability, and we talk about how all these products have these different states of rationalization, this is where you'll really be able to, and we tell this to our customers in an extensive way, design your own adventure, we like to call it. And when we talk about that adventure, we're really referring to those credit policies and decisioning strategies and product connectivity capability that previously would have required a development effort, would have required the management of technology resources and rather extensive plans to be put in place and projects to be put in place to have those capabilities be joined together. With this new Data Fabric capability and this significant rationalization of products and a rebuild and an optimization perspective, you'll be able to really take advantage of those opportunities as they connect through the portal itself. So I recognize that that's quite a bit of what I would like to proverbial say, that's quite a bit of a word salad, shall we say. But at this point, getting down to brass tacks, you're probably asking yourself, well, what is this going to cost, right? The good news is about all of this capability is that products that are being rebuilt and optimized for Data Fabric, there's no cost increase or change in the product price. Products that are being sunset and replaced with rebuilt versions of products, or what we like to call like for better, there is no change in product price. So for products that are being sunset and moved to optimal upgrades or different products themselves, there are price increases or changes that were represented in potential cost increases for alternative products. So like we would call the like for better opportunities. Those are really the ones where there's potentially some change in the overall cost to you as a customer. But overall, as I've mentioned already, is that there is going to be, if you're on a path of having products that are rebuilt and optimized for Data Fabric, there's no cost increase to you. There's just a whole bunch of additional capability exposed to you through our web portal, through digital self-service, through configuration management. So there's just tremendous upside and opportunity for you as a customer to take not only advantage of what the current product state is that you have with us, but to build strategies and optimizations that offer up the opportunity for the potential and significant upside in future growth for not only your organization, but the vertical that you represent within that capability.
Hey, Niall, I'm wondering if a quick example might help illustrate, what we're doing in terms of migrations and price. So,
sure.
As an example, if you've got, if you are a FICO 4 subscriber, that's the score that you have. That is a score that is in that first line. We are rebuilding that score. And so we'll rebuild FICO 4 in the new environment. It will perform exactly the same as it did previously. It'll just access a different, better data source, the Data Fabric, but there will be no change in price.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a FICO 3 subscriber, that product is being sunset. The upgrade version to that, or the replacement version of that, is FICO 4. If you move to FICO 4, which is a newer, better score, that is your path to go from FICO 3 to FICO 4. There is no change in price for you on that. Because if we're taking away FICO 3, we want to make sure you've got a product. The next one in succession would be FICO 4. However, if you have FICO 3 and you decide, I don't want FICO 4, I want to jump all the way to FICO 8, you're more than welcome to do that and then take advantage of the newest, latest, greatest FICO score. But because you're skipping over 4 and going straight to 8, there would be some incremental price for that. Again, your salespeople will be able to walk you through that. But I want to make sure that people really understand that if it is a rebuilt product, there is no change in price. If it is a product that is being, sunset and replaced, and we're offering you another product, there'll be no change in price. It's only for those situations where you're skipping over, the next best available option and going from good past better to best, then there would be a price increase in that situation. So hopefully that sort of clarifies how we're working through that.
Thank you, Rob. Much appreciated. So it's important for us to understand that in the context of what we're trying to do from a transformation perspective is that the innovations will come after the migrations are complete. First we transform, then we innovate. But that doesn't mean that we can't make improvements through transformation or through innovation. To what Rob spoke about earlier in terms of the, moving FICO 4 to FICO 3 to FICO 4 and retaining critical features and insights. As an example, that's something that we know our customers definitely need. The accelerated capability through digital self-service is something that we definitely know our customers want. And that we're striving to make this data journey as easy and as seamless as possible, as we talked about earlier with the notion of minimal disruption and zero anticipated downtime. But also, it's important for us to remember that this transformation is about an eye to future innovation and an eye to future capability. So when Rob spoke earlier about file fragments and optimizations that will take place in this new transformation environment. When we talk about using AI to create connectivity to file fragments, to create thicker and more robust files and outputs and experience for you as a customer, it's one of the examples of how Equifax is using innovation both today and potentially looking forward to what those capabilities are to really define what our customers want and what we know they need. So let's talk a little bit about ACRO. And when we talk about ACRO here, is even this product itself is really the tentpole product that we serve up here at Equifax. This is the product that our customers come to in the greatest abundance of capability and requirements. And so when we talk about the changes that are going to happen on the ACRO side, the same fields, functions, and capability will be exposed in the Consumer Credit Report product. This product will be on the rebuild path, as Rob also mentioned too, using this as a specific example in the case of ACRO. There is no change to cost from a delivery perspective because this product will be rebuilt. You will be able to enjoy the same data, features, fields, functionality, and delivery formats, which we call payload. That's the data output that we supply to you. We'll supply it in FFF and XML. We do offer also to customers who wish to consume JSON as a capability. That will also be offered in our first phase of this delivery mechanism for all of our products and services. JSON is ultimately where all of our apps, products, and data services will go. And that's something that we're putting on a future track for our additional phases for transformation. But for now, those payload and output formats that you currently enjoy with FFF and XML, they will persist. But if as a client you wish to consume that JSON capability, that service is made available to you and that JSON capability will be there. The microservices or the API, it was discussed in one of the previous questions about two-way interactions through our API. The microservices model that we're using as a baseline or table stakes that we have does provide two-way transactional capability. That allows for that agility, customization, and configuration management happen that I've spoken about at length in several levels of capability. There will also be API service guides and requests around connectivity to our APIs and how to maximize the capability and connectivity requirements to meet the needs of what those microservices are. But from a non-technical standpoint, this microservices model is really how we weave our products and services together in the digital space, in this new platform. This is how we create these invisible connections and create this very robust and rich weave that Data Fabric provides. Trended data is going to be a very significant net beneficiary of this transformation, in that the trended data will be across all major fields and provide a much wider scope of insight than trended data and analytics today provides to our customers. And that's something, again, that is part of the Consumer Credit Report or ACRO product, and an extensive capability that will be significantly enhanced and rebuilt as a result of this. The net benefit, when we talk about moving things to Data Fabric, we talk about single default gateway where all of our apps, products, data services flow through. We talk about this weave around Data Fabric. Is ultimately this delivers greater consistency with both online and offline batch capability. It means, as Rob spoke about earlier, when it comes to what Data Fabric really provides, extensive and rich search, matching, keying, and linking, and purposed data. That sort of connectivity, that richer file through trended data, those extensive microservices connectivity really contribute to what the richness is and what the capabilities will be from our consumer credit report file, from a background technology perspective, and from a delivery perspective and output perspective for you as a customer. So let's have a look at what our current consumer credit report file is. So we're having a revisit, not only because when we talk about transformation, this was not simply a lift and shift or an opportunity perhaps for a new coat of paint. When we talk about the consumer credit report today, there's good information in it. The presentation, however, is very rudimentary. It's rather basic. We knew that it wouldn't be enough to simply deliver the same credit report that we deliver today in the same sort of presentation style. We knew that we had to, as a result of transformation, really rethink about what our customers have been asking for quite some time and what that credit report really has to be from an experience perspective. And so what we've done here is that this new credit report really reflects our underlying philosophy with transformation as a whole. Equifax's digital transformation represents a break from the traditional norms. And our credit report is probably the most tangible example of that, is that it's not enough to simply do what we've already done, but in fact, to choose what one might call, to ascend that summit through significant evolution and optimization and services and capability. Our new consumer credit report is one of those critical steps in the journey, is that this report is going to be dynamic, it's going to be customizable, but also for our customers, it's going to be easy to read, and it's going to be based on the critical enhancements around trended data across all major fields. And I think it's important for us around the consumer credit report. This is more representational. Obviously, our consumer credit report is a report in evolution. The design is not, that you see represented in front of you, is not the finalized level of capability, but it's meant to be illustrative of the fact that we've really taken a very, very structured, customizable, easy to read experience re-examination of how we create these points of interaction for you as a customer, and how we really drive greater digital self-service and greater customer-driven configuration, as we know is the lion's share of any kind of significant success in digital transformation. And we feel that our consumer credit report, being that tentpole that we spoke of before, is one of those many critical steps, and one of the ones that is really going to represent how Equifax trends and innovates going forward in this capability. So we talked about earlier in the presentation about the experience change, and we were speaking a few minutes ago specifically about how Equifax is rethinking that capability on the consumer credit report side and on the look and feel and the experience and interaction with it. So that self-same philosophy that we're taking forward with transformation carries through to the main digital self-service point of interaction that you'll have with us going forward. And that's really this, for the simplest possible analogy, that's really the storefront. That's really our entranceway to the experience with you. That's our web portal. So when we looked at our portal, very much the same philosophical transformational approach was taken in the nature of what was delivered here. And it was very quickly ascertained and determined that the portal was in need of more than just a coat of fresh paint. Some of the critical features and enhancements which are part of the new portal experience which represent that rethinking of that capability, are single sign-on. Single sign-on greatly simplifies your access to all of Equifax's products and services. It's something that our customers have been asking for quite some time. There is auto redirect functionality, which will greatly simplify that port of entry. So initially, that experience and the way that you connect with us through the web portal, that URL will redirect. We're asking our customers in that redirection that you bookmark it when you first go to it, because the redirect is only going to persist for a certain amount of time, a limited amount of time through the transformation process. So we ask that you bookmark that, but there will be an auto redirect in place and a single sign-on capability. But as we also alluded to in our previous webinars, in our previous materials that we presented to you, is securitization, and security is one of the many cornerstones of this transformation experience. And so in order for us to not only meet but exceed the security capabilities of what this platform is supposed to provide, we have to make sure that extensively end-to-end that's demonstrated. And one of those critical demonstration factors is two-factor authentication. This further shores up our securitization model and reflects Equifax's mantra of being industry-leading in security and account management, and not simply just bolting on security as part of our services, but really making this securitization model inside and out, from an authentication perspective, from the way that we handle data that's encrypted at rest, both and in transit, from selecting our supplier of the Google Cloud platform, which also is going to introduce what's known as encryption during processing, which we will introduce later in our transformation platform, which provides all of these retoolings and capabilities around what security is supposed to provide, and also from our data residency considerations that we discussed during our last session, but are worth reinforcing here. And that is that the data residency, our data services, the data itself that we manage resides within Canadian borders, that the data residency also has co-location management. We will be introducing the Montreal data center as our first start point. In January to April, we will introduce the Toronto data center for that co-location service as we migrate our way through the transformation processes. And ultimately, we will also add Vancouver as a data center as well, so that we have tri-location of data capability, but it all resides within Canadian borders, conforming to PIPEDA and other privacy consideration compliance of way data is managed, stored, shared, and exchanged between yourselves and ours. So this two-factor authentication is another reinforcement of that. The OAuth 2-based authentication is a part of this enhanced securitization model. And when we talk about expanded functionality and capability,
this may be a good place to just pause for a second and see if we've had some questions, because we've covered a lot of ground, and I'm sure we've got some questions from the audience.
Certainly, if I can pause right there for anyone who might have any questions. Dory, do we have any questions?
We have a lot of questions, but we'll only be able to get to a couple, unfortunately, because we are starting to run short on time. Okay, so let me start with, will the credit report that individuals, i.e. consumers, pay for directly from Equifax look similar to the new report that we have shown?
Yes, it will.
So,
we're going to get to only sort of one. Yeah, we're just going to have one credit report that will be the same for consumers and for customers. We think both need to be, friendly and easy to read.
Yes.
All right. And will the platform automatically change, or will a change on user end, be required? And if so, when will we learn about this, and how will we know how to navigate that?
So sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, could you repeat that question, please?
Sure, sorry. Will the platform automatically change, or will a change be required by the user? I assume they mean in terms of accessing the new interface.
It will be really as simple for you as changing your endpoint, making sure that you're on a secure endpoint. Once you're on that endpoint, and I think Dale will talk to you about that in just a minute or two, you'll be directed to the new interface.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct.
And last one, does your testing include a plan for load testing as well?
Yes. So, and it's one of the things that we'll be sharing with you. So there's a couple of elements of the testing process. One is moving all of the data from mainframe into data fabric. That's what we refer to as the data validation phase, and we'll be moving about 61 million or so credit files in that process. So we'll share with you the data validation study around that, so you know the data's moved over. We then do product validation testing. So now that we know that data's moved over and it won't be a source of difference in terms of outcomes you receive, we'll do the product validation testing to be able to demonstrate to you that the product has been rebuilt and will provide the same outcomes in the new environment as it does in the legacy environment. And then lastly, we'll do end-to-end fulfillment testing that will have all of the transactions from our customers for a couple of months come in to Equifax, be split, and go down two different paths: the legacy products and mainframe, and new products and data fabric. And we will be returning to you everything through legacy products and mainframe, because that will be the system of record. But we'll then have a comparison of how those transactions would have resulted in each environment, and we'll be able to share that information with you as well, so that you will know that the data is good, the products have been rebuilt, and the outcomes you should be getting should be consistent with what you have already been receiving.
Okay, and just one final housekeeping note. We had a bunch of questions come in about the FICO subscriber agreement. You will be, any subscribers to FICO will be receiving notifications from Equifax in very short time. We're just setting up the final elements of that, and so you can expect to see that coming through to you soon, and it will have all the details you need for what you need to do for the new subscriber agreement. All right, and I guess, Dale, it's over to you.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for attending today. What I'm going to walk you through next is your migration experience. We're very happy to speak with you today about your migration experience. Rest assured, you guys are in great hands. With that being said, we do need to work together on a few simple steps as we prepare for our journey. Point one of the first point that we want to make sure they have is that we're going to celebrate our new year with making our endpoints available in our UAT environment. So by doing so, you've already received our endpoint migration guide, and we look for you guys to review that and understand what the components are that you'll need to adjust and to fix. And then we're looking for an anticipated release in March of 2021. Point two is exactly what Rob just alluded to. We're doing the testing and validation, and we will be able to provide that to you. Basically, if we want to sum it up, we're doing the work so you don't have to. All of the validation and all the testing will be easily available for you to assess and to read. But at the same time, we understand that your strategy might be a little bit more unique or have some special segmentations, and we get that. So we'll be more than happy to assist you by giving you the keys to the cars and allow you to perform your own testing as well. So as we look at our endpoint migrations, we want to stress that we need to stay connected, but staying connected more securely. If you're using an HTTPS protocol to connect to us, that's amazing. You're already halfway there. With that being said, we're looking to add an additional layer, a 2FA. 2FA is two-factor authentication. This type of authentication is no longer being considered a nice-to-have, but rather an added measure of security to keep your data safe. The OAuth implementation is a robust and more secure security layer with very minimal effort on your side. These changes can be found in your migration guide that we sent out last month. So now that we go through this, what does your endpoint migration roadmap look like? But let's start with planning your specific roadmap. So what we're looking to do is that right now you should be in the planning stage. We should start thinking about your strategy. Review and understand your endpoint migration guide and the changes that are specific to you. So if you're on the HTTPS protocol already, then you just have to adapt to the OAuth. If you have a different connection, review the migration guide that we've sent out previously this month and understand the changes that are able to apply to you. Starting on Jan 1st, and that now that you've triaged your requirements with your team, here are some important dates to align to your development cycle. So January 1st, we will be making the UAT availability of our endpoint migration guide. And then soon after in March, it's our anticipated production release. Now that your endpoints are now secure, let's talk about your product portfolio. Moving you to our cloud is going to be a great experience and journey. Allow me to break down the opportunity to break that down to you in our next slide. But before that, we want to stress the importance of our shutdown dates. Our shutdown date is on October 2021, where we will be decommissioning our legacy security protocols. Our goal is to have all of our clients on our brand new platform by the end of 2021. So this is what our customer migration timeline would look like. Think of our migration in stages. And congratulations, you're already halfway through stage 1. But let's retrospectively look at what we've already accomplished to date. We've completed our pocket guide. We've already sent out the intro letter, and you may have previously attended our webinar. We've published our endpoint migration guides, and we've wanted to get your feedback and insight as we look towards our second webinar that we're hosting today. Within our stage 2 of commitment, what we're doing is that will start off within January of next year, and we want to make sure that we can get the availability to you within our UAT. And then sometime after that, we'll be hosting our third webinar, and that will be with respect to our score validation. Our score validation will look to have insights and we will engage our our data and analytics team that will help understand odds charts performance and insights of the scores that that we provided as a replacement solution. So for example, if you were on BNI, we will show the odds charts performance for BNI and our new performance odds charts for BNI 3.0, so that you could understand where the value add and the proposition of those new scores would be within your credit adjudication strategy. By doing so, and similar in stage 2, we will also be creating a developer portal. This will allow your development teams to log in more secure and access our development guides, migration guides, and access to additional development requests and tools. Lastly, as Niall alluded to in his presentation, we are changing a lot, the portal, the web, the credit report. So what we want to do is host another webinar with you and understand a train the trainer sense. And that will be insights of the first view look of the new web portal, as well as the other new feature designs, so that when you log into Data Fabric on day 1, it doesn't catch you off surprise. Consider it a train the trainer seminar, and we want to get your feedback and insights of the challenges ahead, but also the opportunities for our new dynamic look and layout. And by the end of our stage 2, we're hoping that the majority of our clients will be on our migration production release that we'll have in March. Now, stage 3 is the most exciting part. That's our execution. As we were talking about the data validation performance testing, we know that's a lot. So we don't want to just give it to you and just allow you to read it. We're going to host an additional webinar on top of that. It will allow us the opportunity to break down your findings and the insights that we've prepared for you, so that you can have more insights on what we've tested, how it impacts you, and the amount of testing that you want to potentially do with your own teams. And once we have that, we will start our first wave of our migrations for our clients in July of 2021. You might be asking yourself a question: what is a wave? A wave is a release of a group of customers that is going to be scheduled to be migrated to our new platform. But we do have 3 special characteristics or conditions before migration can occur. 1, each client will have to have their endpoint security protocol up to date. 2, we need to have acceptance of all the sunset and replace solutions. So you'll be able to say, yep, I'm okay migrating from BNI to BNI 3.0, are from the FICO examples that we noticed in the presentation before. And lastly, you have to sign off on the data validation and the acceptance of our testing results and your testing results. We want to make sure those three prerequisites are completed before you get tagged on a migration wave. And don't worry, we'll be sending out tons of communications to you to understand which wave you'd be a part of, and so that you have more time to prepare as we get closer to our wave dates and the prerequisite migrations to allow you to ensure that we have all those things covered. And lastly, we're here to help. You are a valued strategic partner and a client to Equifax Canada, which is why we're here today, to be your guide on your upcoming journey. We're here to help you and ensure your experience is best in class. Feel free to reach out to us via the following tools that we have on the site available. You can always access us via the Your Migration for the support team. Any technical questions, feel free to contact the technical migration team. And any questions or any collateral that you might be missing, feel free to check out our website, which is the business transformation page. Sorry, I tried to get through that as quickly as I can because I was being cognizant of time. But I will stop right there to see if there's any questions that you might have about your experience and journey.
All right, we have a few minutes, so if everyone can, I know we're going over, but if everyone can hold on, let's see if we can get through a couple of questions because there's still lots of them. First of all, the migration guides, a lot of people are saying they have not received them, and I will actually field this one. If you have not received a migration guide, it may be because you were not on one of the legacy endpoints that need to be upgraded. If you are an HTTP customer and only looking to do the OAuth, you will only be required to do the OAuth upgrade. That notification has not yet gone out. So hold tight, and if you have not received something within the next, well, in the new year, because that will be going live in January, that's when you need to reach out to us and let us know that you haven't received the information. But you will be getting the information in time, and we will make sure that you are prepared. Okay, so now that is done. We've gotten a couple of questions about customers whose systems who do not get reports directly from Equifax. They get them through third parties. So the questions are, how will the reports come through? How will this be affected with our transformation, with the changeover to the new platform if they are not getting their reports directly from us?
Yeah, great question. I can field this one if that's okay. We are working with every single third party that we have partnered with Equifax. So we're working with them on their endpoints, and we're working with them on their behalf. So we have a strategy that we'll be working with them in collaboration to share them our endpoint strategy as well. If you received our endpoint notification, that's the great start. But in parallel, we are also working and talking with all the LOS systems and third-party service providers to make sure that they're adapting to our changes as well. I hope that helps.
All right, let's see. Sorry. Like I said, there's a lot of questions. Do we pick, so this is back to a product question. Do we pick our own replacement solutions? We were sent a letter stating that we would be replaced with, for example, FICO 8, but we were not offered another solution.
If there's a solution that you would prefer to have, we can certainly talk about that. You know, what we have done is mapped what people's current solution is and what we think the logical, you know, progression is or next step is. If you have a different view or would prefer something else, then we're certainly open to that.
All right. If we are using a URL to obtain scores and we want to switch to the API, what will the process for that be and how long will it take?
So the URL remapping, I can field that. The URL remapping will happen automatically as long as you're connecting to our API in a secure manner through HTTPS. And as we discussed in the previous endpoints, conversation around how you would map to our new endpoint capability. So nothing much is going to fundamentally change on that end from being able to retrieve scores through the new API.
And just to add to that, I think it would be best to contact your account manager, and they can also give you our API guide that will help you to understand our system-to-system connections and the layout and the schemas that are required for that to be able to submit a transaction via system-to-system as opposed to online.
Yeah.
Okay, and will third-party platforms have links to your portal for quick access to your resources?
Sorry, can you repeat that question, Tori?
That's a question around third-party. Yeah.
Yes. Will third-party platforms have links to your portal for quick access to your resources?
We haven't discussed that with the third-party vendors, but we can definitely add that to see if we can work in collaboration with them to share some of our resources so that you'll be able to have a one-stop shop. So definitely we will look into that.
Okay, and will we be able to automate credit pulls in the mortgage industry? What due diligence changes will there be?
We'll definitely be able
to automate the pulls. They're automated now, as long as, when you put in the information, but I'm not sure what specifically that question is about. I'm sorry, Niall, it sounded like you might have an answer.
Yeah, so the automation capabilities, Rob, you're correct in assuming that we currently set up for runs from an offline batch process. Those will still persist as levels of capability in the new platform, as well as additional automation capabilities will be extended to other products and services through Data Fabric going forward as well. So there'll be further optimization opportunities through digital self-service and configuration management in the new web portal.
Okay, and I think this should probably be the last question. Just a side note, housekeeping note, we had a lot of questions come in, so we will make sure that if we did not get to your question today, we will be sending out an updated FAQ document. So don't worry, we'll try and make sure that we answer any question that you've submitted. Okay, so last question. Earlier, Rob had mentioned that the new Equifax report will contain information such as vehicles, properties, and other info. How detailed will that information be?
Yeah, sorry, just to clarify, those are new data sets that we will make available. You'll need to be, to subscribe to get that. So they won't come as a standard part of the credit report. The credit report will continue to contain credit information. As you are interested in accessing other of our data assets, then that would be something you would subscribe to. I don't have offhand right now what all of the vehicle data is, but we can certainly give you what that is. We can include that as a sample in the FAQ.
All right. Well, we've gone fairly over. So I guess, Rob, if you wanted to wrap it up, and we will make sure that everyone gets the documentation that they need after this.
So, great. Thanks, Corey. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to all of the customers who showed the interest to join this session and for your active participation and questions. This is information that we hope that you find useful. I can tell you that the feedback that we got from this, from the questions you've asked, is very helpful to us as we continue to move forward and help you come along on this journey with us. As you heard Dale mention, our expectation is we will be doing another webinar in the next, early in the new year, and we look forward to talking with you more then. In the meantime, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to our customer service line or to your salesperson. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.